Hello everyone, how you doing today? Just thought I'd do a quick update video today, show you what I've been working on. And no, I haven't actually worked on this, but just to show you what the final body of this POI is kind of looking like. I think it's mostly tweaked out now. All sides of it were done, kind of added more detail and stuff to the back of it. Um, it's only got one entrance on the front. It'll have several floors inside, and hopefully a fun little course to run through and shoot the bad guys. This example over here that I did last week of doing interior space, unfortunately I screwed up the last video on it when I was doing the final detail and forgot to have my microphone on. Um, but I would just want to show you what was done, and this will be quicker anyway because it took me probably about 45 minutes of messing around looking at this space. So from the last video, or when you seen that these rooms were getting done up here, what changed is I wanted to just tweak out everything in it to make it look a little bit better. Things that were done in the final detail thing was I took, ooh, as I'm missing the texture there, I took like a couple rows of the ceiling and textured them differently and changed the color. I altered the position of a light that I had in the corner, but I instead took two lights and put them over here and adjusted their values to create a little bit better lighting effect on the constructor. I tweaked out this floor a little bit, added some more texturing to kind of back the decals a little bit. This area where I had the walk path coming in here and then it shifted over to meet the door over here, I never did like that. So what I did is I changed the coloring on the floor to make it look a little more uniform, where you don't notice so much that this door doesn't line up to that door anymore. Um, yeah, you using one texture here, a different color there, and I kind of wrapped that around the other room. Then, of course, I tweaked some of the existing lights just to dial in the actual values of them just a touch to try to make the lighting all fit together. Added in some deco thingies like this little pipe thing here and a couple of these little console displays. Added a little trim ring thing around the constructor with a couple of texture lights. Um, I think that's about it. I might have added a white line here. There's other things when I was looking around in here too that I could add another little white decal line around this one as well. But stuff like that. I just kind of wanted to show you the end results of this like test sample of building interiors on its final form. Although this is nothing, it's not going to be a thing that gets released. It's just an example. Um, so moving on from there, the thing I'm been working on actually for the last couple days has actually been a brand new carrier. So this isn't it. This is the Perses CV2 over here, but the new carrier is largely based around this carrier. And I did show early work of the carrier last video, or the new one that I was building. But I just kind of wanted to go over some things that are what I was, thinking. Oh, let's start a new project. Let's build a new carrier based around the Persis design. But what could I optimize on this? How could I try to make it better or better compliant for the game today? I guess you could say with all the new stuff in there like CPU and flight model and Reforged Eden and weights and volumes and all those fun things that didn't exist when the original Persis carrier was built. So to optimize this, what I was looking at is its overall like layout and structure. Now, one thing I noticed right off the gates is how tall the hangar is in this ship. And that is due to it's running a 13 by 7 rear hangar door, but then it's got literally two blocks that go above the hangar door, creating all this extra headroom in the hangar. Um, but if you really think about it, this space over here is actually just not is kind of wasted space. It's not allowing you to park more in the hangar. It's just a bunch of space up here that it's got a really tall ceiling. Um, and that kind of goes throughout the hangar that way. And I was thinking, well, if I was going to optimize this, try to use less blocks, make it a lighter ship, maybe a little less size class, but have the same function as what this one does, what would I do? And one of the first things I was thinking about is, well, you should lower down the flight deck and make it just skinnier. That would save a lot of blocks, wouldn't it? So that is so moving over to the new one now, and this is where it's at right now. Turn off that light, and as you can see, it does look different than the existing Perses carrier, but this layout is pretty much the same, but it's skinnier. It's not as tall. It's like I took this whole carrier and squashed it vertically some. But overall, it's almost the same size as that carrier, lengthwise. I think maybe by a block or two shorter. But the hangar space should actually be right on par with the other Perses. In fact, it might get a little bit wider, or about the same width even over here. This thruster's probably going to move. Just saying. So here's what's going on the inside right now, which is virtually nothing, and I don't have a floor on here yet either. As in, it's like hangar functionality. It's really identical to that of the Persis. I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel here. I put in the same 13 by 7 dual hangar doors on the top, the same 13 by 7 hangar door on the back. But you notice now that this hangar door is actually the top of where the flight deck is, saving an awful lot of blocks that were used in that ship that don't need to be used in this ship. Also, this central area where the control tower and things would be it's been reduced. It's not as tall as the other one. It doesn't have as much space inside there as the other one, which again, for optimizing ships, this one up here, although I think it looks neat, it's definitely it was trying to achieve that kind of World War II ship look. Had these areas like up in here that was basically largely just wasted room. And I didn't want to run into that same problem over on the new carrier, since I'm trying to optimize everything and get it so it'd be CPU compliant and compatible with Reforged Eden and vanilla and have all the new features and stuff in there. So yeah, it's a little smaller. I expect this one to probably come out somewhere between size class 7 and 8, based on this one being a 10. So right in there, but I don't really want to I didn't really want to reduce its functionality, and hopefully it'll stay just about the same as the original Persis, just cheaper. Cheaper, a little lighter, things like that. Now I am packing in some big thrusters in here, although not quite as much as the first Persis. First Persis had 2 XL strafing thrusters on it. The new ship is matching all the thrusters on the original Persis, except for it only has 1 XL strafing thruster instead of 2. But CPU-wise, currently in Reforged Eden, I am under 2.1 million, but it's lacking a couple big CPU costing parts right now, being a shield and a warp core, and of course your storage and constructors as well. So all that's going to add to CPU. I have a feeling after I put all those fun parts in here, it's going to be above 2.1 million CPU, in which at that point in time I will have to remove a couple thrusters from here and put in placeholders. So these thrusters here, extra XL lift thrusters, actually has 4 of them, would probably be removed or replaced with a smaller thruster, but have a placeholder in there. Vanilla players could instantly pop those in. Reforged Eden players could also put those back in, but would need a quantum or auxiliary core probably to do so. But that is pretty much where I'm at on this right now. Just curious if you like the changes. One last thing, I'm just kind of curious on feedback. Now, originally I was thinking maybe I'd call this the Persis CB3. However, it's notably quite a bit different than the Persis. Based around it, but maybe I should just come up with a different name entirely. Just if you got any opinion on that, just let me know. If rather see it just be another Persis or a different different name. So as in another project over here, I've got the Emerald Dragon by Fuji. This was on the workshop quite a while back. Very stylish looking creation, meant to look like a dragon. And it was kind of discussed where he asked if would I be like willing to like convert this to Scar and have it as like a AI kind of ship that could shoot at the players in game. And I'm like, well, it could be done, but I didn't think the Scar was necessarily appropriate for the design of this. But then I was thinking, well, the Kriel kind of could work, especially with the Kriel Elder. So what I'm planning on doing as kind of a side fun project is to convert this over to like a Kriel Elder look. But in the process of doing that, I want to keep the original hull mostly intact on how it is, but I did want to make some changes to give it a look of being a little more biomechanical. And adding in some certain block combinations and things that Kriel might have on other things. Sometimes just providing nice areas to add in texture lights. But so I'll be doing some work on the body, and then I'll start the painting process on it. And then from there I'll work on the interior to try to get it all Kriel-like. We'll see how it comes out though. Never really attempted anything quite like this before, but again, it's a really cool creation. Very shapely, very unique. Something that you just don't see on the workshop very much at all. So I think it could be kind of a neat little ship to be put in the game if it gets put in the game as a AI player ship or something like that. Could be a player ship as well, but I would have to evaluate the interior space on it and how it's laid out. Thin areas like this usually aren't super wonderful for interior space, and that's one reason why I kind of would prefer to just keep this as a player ship. I'm sorry, a AI ship. But that is about all I've got for today. Just curious if you like the new ship. Do you think I did right with trying to squash it and optimize it, or would you have rather just seen something bigger? And we don't care about the CPU here. I like to go both ways, obviously. Sometimes I'm thinking about function over looks. Other times I'm thinking about looks over function. But ultimately, trying to hit them both is probably always going to be your best plan in Empyrion. At least if you want a useful creation in a game. So hopefully this becomes useful as a carrier/farm player-based production with some combat functionality. One last thing, I mean, when I was building this too, I did think a little bit about module support. That would be a neat feature I'd have loved to add in here, but literally if you look at the size of this versus the size of the Helios modules, you realize how big those modules are and why the Helios itself was so gigantic compared to this. Is because it's just parking a module. Even if I had a bay on the side here, the module would stick way the heck out here and look kind of ridiculous on a ship this size. And that is kind of why I ruled out module support on it. Although it would be incredibly neat to have that, but one thing I did learn with that is if you're going to do module support, think big, because something like that's just not big enough to deal with it. The modules are just too big, and you can see the scale difference between that and the actual Helios, quite a bit different in width and everything else. But height, Helios was a really kind of a low ship for its size, and was also trying to be pretty optimal with hangar space, and that's kind of what led to this one. Anyway, you all have yourself a good day. I should have a video tomorrow working on the Emerald Dragon, and I'll try to I'll probably won't show all of it, but I'll try to like record areas that might be more interesting to see. All right, see you later.